Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Welcome back, guys, for episode number 7 of the Schmoedown Rundown, your weekly recap of everything that happens in the Schmoedown. My name is Aaron. I am your host for this episode, as always, if you will. Joining me this week, he was out last week for a union-mandated break. His name is Frank. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Great to be back. Listened to the show last week. It sounded like a lot of fun. I was mad I missed it, but I'm glad to be back and talk about the Schmoedown, so I'm looking forward to get into it.
It's good. It's good to have you back, sir. We need those stats. And joining us once again this week, I'm going to call him the King of Ding. It is Paul Wolf. Hail to the Ding, sir.
Hey, man. What's going on? Thanks. There it is. Thanks so much for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No problem whatsoever. Glad to have you. So, this week, not a lot of news, but we did get some new matches made. If you watched the live show this week, you know that Brett Sheridan, Mr. Wiggly himself, challenged Nick Mundy to a Schmoedown matchup that will focus mainly on 80s films, actually only 80s films. So a very interesting sort of matchup there. Another match was announced as well, and we'll get to that a little bit later when we do the recaps. But first, I want to kick it off to you, Frank. Brett Sheridan versus Nick Mundy. Who do you like?
This is an interesting one because we've only seen Nick Mundy a little bit in the 2015 tournament when he was with Hal Rudnick for Screen Junkies in that tournament. And then Brett Sheridan, I don't really know what to expect from him. You know, you say it's going to be mostly 80s. I hope that makes it for a more entertaining match, because I think if it was just the regular Schmoedown, we might be in trouble with these two guys.
I think so.
So, I mean, I want to give it to Brett because I think it was a couple weeks ago, Christian had talked about Brett getting more and more into, or watching more and more films and maybe starting his own blog or something like that. So hopefully there's a well of knowledge there in Sheridan that can come out in this match against Nick Mundy. And I think he should pull it off. I hope so for the Schmo's sake, just because I don't need another Screen Junkie winning in the Schmoedown.
Yeah, fair enough. Paul, how do you see it going, just for the preview?
Yeah, Frank made a good point just now about, we need it to be a Schmo to win this because of, again, the Screen Junkies taking over with, Dan and everything. But looking at what they did, now granted, the buzzer is only for the championship rounds, but seeing him, not being able to answer those, who knows if it's in a regular Schmoedown setting, he might do better. But Brett didn't do a very good job. I bet you he knew him though. But the fast reflexes, he might not have been able to ring the bell as fast as Nick did. Seeing Nick also throughout the movie fights on Screen Junkies as well. He's pretty good there too, and he's got Dan there too that might be able to coach him. So unfortunately, I'm gonna probably side with Nick on this one, just because of who he surrounds himself with from the Screen Junkies, but not taking anything obviously away from anybody at the Schmoes. But I think Brett's just finally getting into movies again, because as you guys know, if you've heard the early Schmoville podcast when I was on, Brett and I kind of are almost the same, raising a family, not really watching as many movies as we used to. And so I kind of feel for him that he's finally getting back into it, and he's surrounded by so many people that knows so much. So I feel he's getting there, but I think Nick's going to take it.
I think that's a fair point. And like you guys have already said, movie fights, Nick's experience. He's been in the team tournament. He's got the experience. He knows what to do. I think Nick Mundy plays it off a little bit like he doesn't know. He's like, oh, I don't know a lot of movie trivia. I think that's kind of some bull crap, because if you listen to him go on his rants about John McTiernan movies or Rocky or whatever he finds a tangent. The dude has knowledge, a lot of knowledge. I think he just kind of tries to play it off that he's like, I don't know as much as these people. And that's whatever. But Brett Sheridan, I don't know. 80s movies could be a very good category for him, a good range, because if it was more of a modern spin, I would say he would have absolutely no chance. But I think this is more evenly matched than we think. But, I hate to pick against the home team, if you will, but I think Nick is hiding that knowledge, and it's going to come out in this matchup, unfortunately, for Brett Sheridan. But, that's down the road. So let's talk about the now. Last week, I forgot to do something, and I have to do it this week, and that is talk about John Campea. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was a little miffed at John Campea because he kind of took a dig at this podcast for saying that we were unemployed, and it's all in good fun. John doesn't know who I am or anything, and he probably doesn't care. But I was a little miffed by it. I'm not gonna lie. But as John Campea has been in the co-host seat, the commentator's chair, if you will, for the first couple of matches that he was commentating, I was like, man, Campea, get him out of there. He's hitting 1 out of 10 jokes. It's not working. I don't like his flow. And then come this last week, I thought he was fantastic. Him and Kim Knapsack were great together. I was like, wow, this is a really cool commentary team. If Christian and Mark can't be there, it's a good fill-in. So I have to put over Campea for that. And then we come back this week, and Mark and Christian are back, which, that's their thing, and I love them for that. But I, oddly enough, kind of miss John Campea's commentary, dare I say. Now, Frank, I want to start with you. Am I crazy in thinking that, or are you on the John Campea commentary train? Do you think he does a good job, or what are your feelings on that?
I feel like he has more good matches than bad, so I guess I'm more in favor of him co-hosting the matches. I don't find it too distracting, or he doesn't try to make a lot of jokes like Ellis does. So he's different in that sense. So I think that's what I just like about him. He's just different than what Christian does, or what Mark Ellis does, or even when Roca hosts. I guess I am in favor of Campea co-hosting.
Okay, Paul, what do you think? Am I off base, or do you kind of miss a little John Campea action?
Yeah, he's the guy that started the whole thing for me. Getting into AMC Movie Talk, he was the guy that got me hooked. And so seeing him where he is with that on the Schmoedowns and all that, he's funny. He's to me kind of like the Jerry the King Lawler almost. Sometimes you roll your eyes at his jokes, sometimes you really laugh, and then sometimes come out of nowhere. So I kind of like that if they do a rotation, because Mark Ellis does his comedy. So if he has to go, you've got John filling in. If they do a rotation, that's fine by me. So I'm happy with what John's done, and I like what Mark's done. So either one of them, if they rotate, great. If Mark stays for a long time and John fills in here and there, that's fine too.
See, I was fully prepared to bury him a few weeks ago, and now I'm just like, man, he's actually pretty good. So I'll just eat my words on that. John Campea, doing a great job, buddy. Hope to see you back in the chair sometime soon. Now, with all that out of the way, let's talk about some Schmoedown action. Let's talk about the team match, which was Team Heroes, Robert Meyer Burnett and John Schnepp, minus pizza and beer, versus Team Patriots of JTE and Jeff Snyder. Now, it kind of went like this. Round 1, Heroes 3 points. Patriots also 3 points. Round 2, Heroes rolls Tom Hanks. They get 8 points. The Patriots roll Scarlett Johansson. Stick with it. It was a good call. 5 out of 6 for 9 points. Plus, they had 2 steals off of Team Heroes for another 3 points. Unfortunately for Team Heroes, they go 0 for 3 in round 3. So the Patriots TKO Team Heroes 15-11. Paul, let's start with you on this one. What did you think of this matchup?
Well, I think if you want to go back to the last podcast we were 3 for 3. All 3 of us did pick Team Patriots to go over Team Heroes. And indeed that we saw the strengths of Robert Meyer Burnett and actually Jeff Snyder came in and stole it a little bit. And to me, I mean, I think you said round 2. Didn't the Patriots first roll Julia Roberts movies, and then they split again? You're right. Yeah, because I remember Snyder came over and he like held the bottom of the wheel to spin it. And I got a little bit something about Snyder later on when we get to the singles, but I know you and I mentioned this off air, but that question that they got that Robert Meyer Burnett answered about the Terminator, the Alien, and the Predator question. To me, that was a huge thing I saw on Facebook on Schmoedown.
Name the 2 actors that have been killed by a xenomorph, a Predator, and a Terminator.
Wow, that's a 1-point question?
It's a 1-point question.
So wait, well, let me get this straight. A xenomorph, a Predator, and an alien.
Yes, but you will have 30. And a Terminator.
And a Terminator.
And you'll have 30.
Now, the actors, not their characters.
The actors.
So
actors.
Are the actors, I guess I would I have a question. Can I ask a question?
You certainly
One
may.
of the actors I would like to say, when he was ripped in half, but he didn't die, maybe?
Doesn't work.
Is that count? That doesn't count? I mean,
no, that totally counts.
It counts, yes.
It totally counts. Yeah. So would I say Lance Henriksen?
And you have
a Predator and Alien. See, that's not fair because he didn't really die. He was only ripped in half. Just saying. I'm just saying.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We were looking for Bill Paxton.
That was the 1-point question. Even he said that in the match too. Was wow, that's the 1-point question, and it's literally just the roll of the dice what they got. It wasn't the that there's no balance there. Like there's no like 1-point question, 3-point question, 5-point question. It's just the roll of the dice, if you will. We've said that a lot lately. So those of you in the comment section, don't mention. We've said if you will a lot. We like Dusty Rhodes. Okay. Big fan
if you will, baby. If you will, drop that bionic elbow, baby.
I don't know why that's been stuck in my head too. But that to me was a tough question for a 1-pointer. But it's one of those things that just happened, and he happened to get that one, and that one. I don't think that would have swung the match either way. But very impressed actually with that round 2. With how well both knew Tom Hanks and the Scarlett Johansson questions. So. Hats off to that one, and that actually swung the match as opposed to the 0 for 3 for the Heroes getting that technical knockout for the Patriots. So I actually thought this was more entertaining. It looked like the Team Heroes took it a little more seriously and really gave it their all. It's just that last round really got it for them.
Frank, before I get to you, I want to jump in for just a second. I want to go back to that Robert Meyer Burnett question, if I can. I thought that question was amazing. I thought that was a very historically accurate question, a very significant question. And I mean, this is me like bragging, like, oh, here comes this guy under the lights. But when that question was asked, I knew it right away. Lance Henderson, Bill Paxton, knew it right away. But anyway, of course, as you do, there is controversy. Chris Galicki, my man, like, what's like this question right now? People are the controversy is with Robert Meyer Burnett. Can Lance Henriksen die as an android? Can he technically die? Well, as I did the research, and I found an article written by Blumhouse.com where they went into detail about this. And it turns out that, yes, Lance Henriksen's character, Bishop, can technically, quote-unquote, die. So that answer is correct. I know Robert Meyer Burnett had a question with that, but upon further review, that is correct. So either way, even though he got the question wrong, he didn't even get the Bill Paxton part of it. He had a little bit of an issue with Bishop being, quote-unquote, dead. So I hope that clears that up. Now that I'm done rambling, Frank, what did you think of this match? And Frank's gone again. All right, so we're having some technical issues. That's obvious. But, yeah, very interested in John Schnepp in this match because I've been so critical of him. You know, the pizza, the beer, him just half-assing it, I feel like. And this match, man, he was on fire in that second round. It was boom, boom, boom from John Schnepp. I was very impressed. And then the third round comes around, and he goes back to the, I don't care, this is rigged, makes a joke like that. I'm like, come on, man. Like, we don't need that garbage. But it was a closer match than I thought it would be because, like I said last week and predicted, Team Patriots, TKOs, heroes, Jeff Sneider, JT, just an absolute buzzsaw in this competition right now. So we'll put that out. We'll put that to bed. Let's jump to the singles recap because it's a double dose of Jeff Sneider this week. He was 1-1 in singles, taking on Jason Inman, that is also 1-1. And it went a little something like this. In round 1, Inman 3 points, Jeff Sneider 4. Round 2, Inman takes War Films, only gets 1 out of 4 for 1 point, but did get a 2-point steal. Jeff Sneider takes Will Smith off of a respin, gets 3 of 4 for 5 points, and gets 4 points in steals off of Inman. Sneider, second TKO of the week as he TKOs Jason Inman 13-6. Paul, Sneider again. Are you impressed now? Like, I mean, not that you weren't before, but are you even more impressed with Jeff Sneider right now?
Yes, that would be the right term right there. I am more impressed with him because, again, I didn't know that he knew that much movie knowledge. I kind of saw this coming. I see Sneider all the time tweeting out things and getting the scoops and putting things out there. And so I see him in many different areas and many different movie genres. And so seeing that just completely wiped the floor with him. It just kind of took him out. And that brings the next question is, should Jason Inman be in that Inter-Geekdom championship that he wants to be in after this poor performance and making the Harloff match look a little less impressive? Good. No. So
good for him.
Yeah, so I don't know if he could get in this way. I mean, a wild card maybe if things might not fall into place, but I tell you what, Sneider, a double dip right there at him, and 2-0 this week. And little interesting tidbit there, he was wearing the same tank top that he wore in the team matchup. So did they film them in the same day?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure. That's just the only thing. That's a lot of the things people are always talking about on Schmoeville is when do they record them, how long ago did they record them, and things like that. So at least we get a little bit of oh, he's wearing the same shirt, so maybe it was the same day. So a little insight there maybe could quiet down a little Schmoeville with that little tidbit.
Listen, as somebody that has the inside track, cough, cough, on the Schmoedown.
That's right.
That's right. I got all the inside baseball. I happen to think that the Schmoedown is filmed live every Friday and Tuesday. So, no, none of that here. But, yeah, Jeff Sneider, I mean, are you kidding me, this guy right now? I said it last week, and I hate to harp on it and pat my own shoulder, but I will. I told you. Jeff Sneider, TKO. I said KO this for the singles match, but I'll take a TKO. It's kind of good too. But man, this guy right now, he's just I saw a lot of comments, and I need to clarify this real quick, and this is going to sound really boring, so just please bear with me for a second. I saw a lot of people in the comments of the match saying that they don't like Jeff Sneider as a heel because he's not interesting, and I want to clarify something. Because people are comparing him to John Roca, and John Roca as the outlaw character is not a quote-unquote heel anymore. He's not. John Roca went from heel to now what we would call a tweener. This is your history lesson. And it's when you go from in between, that's where you get the term, heel and face. John Roca is not the bad guy anymore. He is in between face and heel. He still has myth with the good guys, Harloff and Ellis, but he can still be the bad guy with another heel. Now, Jeff Sneider, it's not that way. Jeff Sneider is full-blown, doesn't give a shit about you, whether you like him or not. Jeff Sneider is a full-blown heel. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to try to back off of that now because I know that's kind of boring, but I just want to clarify that for people because it seems like we're having a hard time distinguishing what kind of a heel Jeff Sneider is. And it's very simple to me that he's just a straightforward, I don't care what you think about me, I don't care. And that's what I like about Jeff Sneider. Am I making sense, Paul? Does this make sense?
Oh, completely. Yeah. Roca tried the heel tactics, and I mentioned before, he's my favorite, and the way that he gets into that character, he takes the glasses off, and then he just gets right into the outlaw. I love it, and he can switch it on and off. And as he started trying to be that heel, he was like that Stone Cold Steve Austin. He started to be that bad guy, but then people started liking him, and people started liking him. And then he got the Outlaw Nation, the Roca World Order, if you will, and there it is again. And and so he's now got that huge following, and people buying the mask all the time. And I saw people dressing up as him at Halloween. I saw pictures, and so it was really kind of cool that he's now got that following. And Sneider, to me, I mean, he was on that movie talk that one time when people just kind of just rubbed him got rubbed the wrong way, I guess, and then he just kept going, and teaming up with JTE really definitely got that heel status solidified. But I think he's kind of outshining JT a little bit more now,
Sure.
and he's slowly pulling back up out of that heel area, I think, just because of how impressive his week was. I'm seeing a lot less negativity about him, and more people kind of confused. And I'm actually glad that you explained what the difference is between the gray versus the heel, the gray area of Sneider, or of Roca, if you will. Again, said it again. I should stop.
Damn it.
So we have that, and so that's kind of where I am with that, and it was a very good explanation from you.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Frank. As someone that isn't so much inclined to wrestling speak these days, what do you think about the difference between Jeff Sneider and John Roca? Is there a distinction there between you? Like, can you see the difference, or does it not make any sense?
No, the way you explained it and makes perfect sense for how each guy is being represented in the Schmoedown. Sneider is a great. You automatically know that when you look at Roca, you don't know which way he's gonna go. So him being a tweener is a perfect definition of who he is now, especially coming out of the Schmoedown tournament, and then with the presence of Sneider coming in and solidifying with now 3 matches under his belt. He's got the team stuff going on, so I think those guys have really been defined because they have a lot of matches under their belts now. At this point, I hope, because I've realized it, as someone who's not heavily involved or following wrestling, I can tell where these guys stand, and now I'm just waiting for a Roca Sneider match, basically.
I'm right there with you, dude. Right there with you.
So, but I've always, and going back on Sneider just as a competitor, I don't know if I've said it here before on the podcast or maybe in Schmoeville on a post or something like that, but I've always felt Sneider, what makes him a good heel is he's a good competitor. So when you're good and you play the bad guy, I mean, that just ramps it up even further. I've always thought Sneider could be a top 5 guy in this league. I think he's very dangerous. He's averaging 70% answering correct in the league. And that's pretty much at the level you need to be at to be one of the big boys in this league. Because Riley has set that mark as the champ. He was answering just around 70% the entire time. And no one was really at that level. Now we got this infuse of new talent with Wolf and obviously Merle and Sneider. And they're answering stuff at 70%. So with Sneider being a heel and he's good, I mean, I think it's best of both worlds, and he's going to play it perfectly and has been playing it perfectly.
To quote James Franco in the interview, they hate us because they ain't us. And that's what's going on right now with Jeff Sneider. I feel like people just can't handle it. God, when a heel is a good heel, people can't handle it. And as I told someone in the comment section, I don't remember your name, and I'm not calling you out for any reason. It's just their comment was something to the effect of, I don't like Jeff Sneider. And then I commented, that's the point. You shouldn't like Jeff Sneider. Right. That's the whole point. So basically it's working. Is basically what you're saying.
I like that I don't like him. Does that make sense?
Yes. And that's exactly, he's playing it exactly right. That's exactly how he should be. Now, when you are a heel like this, you get the opportunity to call out basically whoever you want, especially when you're this good. So Jeff Sneider takes the mic and calls out one of my favorite people on the YouTubes, Chris Stuckman. Now, we kind of thought Stuckman and Johns were going to hook up. That's the match a lot of people want to see. You know, me personally, it's not my jam, but I like Stuckman. I like Sneider. I kind of like this matchup. Paul, what do you think of this matchup, possibly Chris Stuckman and Jeff Sneider down the road? What do you think of that?
Here's my take. Chris Stuckman, Akron, Ohio native. That's 5 minutes south of me.
Well,
that is a hometown team right there. So Chris is, I've got his back 100%. He's going to come in straight fire, and he is so busy with the entertainment news and doing everything. I'm amazed he's actually okayed this, and he's going to do it because he is so busy. He's so in the entertainment field, and I think he's going to give Sneider a run.
Yeah. Frank, residing in a city that won the World Series,
Hey.
What do you think of the possible matchup between Chris Stuckman and Jeff Sneider? Sorry, I had to. I'm sorry.
I respect the Cubs for what they did, and there's no bad blood. There shouldn't be bad blood. It was two teams that deserved to be there, and you know what? If it was any other team, it wouldn't have been as cool. So I'm glad the Cubs made it, and they did it. So hats off to them.
Yeah, it's been crazy over here, just to say the least. But getting back to this Stuckman Sneider, I'm this Stuckman.
But I'm not bitter.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't sound like it. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So Stuckman Sneider, I'm half and half on this match. I want this match, but I don't want it right now because Stuckman is in the know with this movie trivia, okay? So, and Sneider, we know what he's doing, right? For Sneider to call out Stuckman, I don't like that he did it right now. I want Stuckman to come into the league, get a couple matches under his belt, at least one, so we know what he's like, so we can build him up. I don't like Sneider calling out a guy who hasn't been in this league, in this format, in this trivia battle, if you will. I want Sneider to challenge somebody that's already been doing it at a high level. Like, I wanted to see him challenge Riley. Like, if Sneider wants to be this big bad in the league, he needs to go after the really good guys in this league. And Stuckman, for all we know, is going to be really great, and I'm sure he will be, and it'll be a great match. But I just think if they could just build it up and compete in one match and see what he does, okay, and then you know what Snyder's doing, and then eventually you get this collision of these two guys with more hype behind him, more excitement. I think it could have been really great, but they want to go this route. That's fine. I'm not going to be. I'll definitely love this match and wait for it, and can't wait to see how it turns out. But I just think maybe they missed an opportunity to hype this match up, especially with a heel like Sneider. And I know Stuckman is just loved by everybody. So I think it just came at a wrong time for me personally, but no doubt I want to see this match. But I'm going to take Sneider anyways over Stuckman.
I see where you're coming from, and as far as I know, with the exception of Clark Wolf, I think everybody else, Ellis, Riley, Roca, everybody that's in that top echelon, even Harloff and Makuga, all have matches booked right now. So I think maybe that's part of the reason that this happened.
Sure.
And that nobody was available. But I see your thought process. If Sneider wants to be a top guy, then he needs to go after a top guy. Makes perfect sense. But yeah, I think it's just more of a scheduling thing at the moment. I don't think Jeff Sneider is afraid of anybody, and I'm not saying that's what you said,
right?
But Jeff Sneider could probably give a rat's ass about anybody in this competition outside of JTE, who's his partner. I think that Jeff Snyder could care less. Doesn't matter who he goes up. I think he honestly should have called out Sam Levine. I would like to see a rematch between them because he keeps dwelling on the fact that he lost on a BS question about the Magnificent Seven, which, Chris, I love you, man. I'm not saying the question was BS. It's Jeff. But it's, I would like to see that again. I don't know if that's maybe an option somewhere down the road, but, you got to get that receipt on Sam Levine at some time. From the singles, let's go to the team previews this week, which will see the return of the Wolves of Steel. And they are going up against another returning team, the Real Rejects. Now, what's significant about this match is that they're both 0-1. I got to think the Wolves of Steel are coming to this match pissed off. You got Mark Riley, who's lost 2 in a row, which is insane. You got and we're going back to singles competition. And then you have Clark Wolf, who's also lost 2 in a row going back to tournament competition. Now, Paul, on paper, this match looks like it should just be a slaughter because Real Rejects pretty inexperienced coming up against a buzzsaw team like the Wolves of Steel that are going to be ready and hungry, pardon the pun, hungry like the wolf for a win. So you being Mr. Wolf, what do you think of this matchup? Am I off base here? Do you think the Real Rejects have a real chance of getting into this matchup?
Wow, you're punny today.
Oh, I'm so punny.
Yeah, going into it, on paper, like you said, it does look like Wolves of Steel could take it pretty handily. Now, here's the thing, though. As you know, if you lose a couple in a row, or if you're starting to, getting towards the end of a game and you're behind, so you got to rapidly, throw. If it's in football, you got to keep passing the ball to get there, pass the ball. You're going to get, too nervous about something, or you're going to make mistakes because you want to rush. You're going to rush it, and you're going to get, trying to get the ball down the field as fast as you can, and mistakes will happen. So hopefully they aren't pissed off and they're not coming in angry. They're going to come in with a game plan, with their calm attitude, the teamwork that you did see when they faced Team Heroes, and go into it prepared, because I do think that they will take it over the Real Rejects. But again, spin of the wheel. You never know what's going to happen. That wheel is pretty much the factor of the game. You saw it when Wolves of Steel lost that match against Team Heroes. You never know. But I do still feel Wolves of Steel, I didn't mean to rhyme that, will come away with the victory in this one.
All right. Frank, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I see Wolves of Steel winning this one. It's going to be close, I think. The Wolves of Steel, as a team, they answered 62% correct. As a team, Real Rejects, in their match, they answered just a shade under 53%. Riley, I think, will, if it goes like it did last match for Wolves of Steel, I think they can still come out on top of Real Rejects, because I think Riley can carry him. But I don't think Wolves going to have a down game again. Because John, the Real Rejects, he didn't seem too strong. And we know what Wolf's capable of, and obviously Riley. And I know Greg, he can probably hold his own as well, but I think John's going to probably be the weak link of the 4, and he sits on Real Rejects, so that's why I'm going to take Wolves of Steel over Real Rejects.
Okay, fair enough. The more you know, kids. The more you know. That's how we got Frank here. Killing it with the stats. I love this. I think I made my prediction pretty clear. I think the Wolves of Steel are just... I know we don't want them to come in pissed off like you said, Paul, but there's something about a team that's angry, and you can be angry and focused. And I just feel like they're tired of losing. I'm sure Mark Riley is tired of hearing about the Superman's dead casket meme. And, Clark Wolf, she thrives on competition, whether she... gets nervous about that wheel or hates that effing wheel, as she has said many times. She likes this competition. She loves being in the Schmoedown. And I think she wants to get back on track. Who doesn't? The Wolves of Steel, man. Wolves of Steel going away in this one. I think it could be another knockout. And I'd like to see him get back on track. I think it's very possible.
One point I just want to try and make real quick. I think the deciding factor in basically in all team matches is that second round and how often you go to multiple choice. Because we've seen people run through the second round go 6 for 6, but maybe only walk away with 7 points, whereas another team goes 6 for 6 and they can walk away with 9 or 8 points. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really going to be important to see who has to go multiple choice the most. I think when you're conferring and you got multiple choice, odds are these guys are good enough. You're going to come up with the right answer. Unfortunately, just for 1 point instead of 2. So I think that even though both teams are going to go 6 for 6, it's going to all come down to how many times that they have to go multiple choice.
Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of weird, like jumping back real quick, and then we'll get out of it, to the Jason Inman, Jeff Snyder match. It seemed like neither one of those guys were apt with taking multiple choice. That they would just kind of throw out a wild guess. And I get that. I get that you want to get the 2, but unfortunately in Jason Inman's case, it cost him the match because he kept getting gouged for 2 points each time. So it's, yeah. And going back to what Clark says about that wheel, she effing hates it. And it's make or break every single time, every single match. That's what makes round 2 so exciting, and that's what makes this Schmoedown so exciting, is that round 2 make or break, and then round 3 is where you can try to make it up, but you have to have a solid round 2. So Frank, I think you're definitely spot on with the wheel talk. It's definitely an issue, and we'll just have to see how it goes with the Wolves of Steel. Hopefully they can turn it around. Now let's jump into the singles preview match for this week that'll be coming Friday. It is 2 debuts. Mark Andreyko, a fan favorite, wanted him in the Schmoedown for a long, long time, versus William Bibiani from Crave Online. Not a whole lot known about these people. I don't know a lot about William personally. I know Mark Andreyko from seeing him on Screen Junkies doing the movie fights and different things. I don't have a ton of knowledge on either one, so unfortunately, I can't provide too much insight because we haven't seen him on the Schmoedown battlefield yet. So, Paul, I'm going to kick it to you. Andreyko, Bibiani, do you have some background on these guys, or who do you like in this competition this week?
This is actually really kind of nice to see that we've got new people coming in. That's actually something I was going to talk about a little later on. We've got a long way until the Schmoedown Spectacular. What are the competitors going to do between now and then? Are they going to do what soccer does and do friendlies to just try and stay, tuned and just tuned up for it and practice? And I don't know what they're going to do, but I do like seeing new blood, and to see kind of almost like a minor leagues or some rookies coming in to the game, if you will. And again, I said it again, and it just flows off the tongue. I'm sorry. But I kind of look at these two, and yeah, I have little bit backgrounds of Bibiani. Andreyko I've heard of, but looking at it, Andreyko being a writer for DC Comics, and then Bibiani he is. What am I doing? Is a film channel editor for Crave Online. It's almost the same thing looking at it as somebody from like maybe Schnepp versus a Snyder almost. You've got somebody just focused in just DC Comics area, might know pop culture, who knows. With Bibiani, you've got an editor for an online movie place that does multiple genres. So I have a feeling in this one Bibiani might take it, because just knowing more and having his toe dipped in many different genres in the movies, I think he might take it.
Okay, so one pick for Bibiani. Frank, we got Andreyko, Bibiani. Where are you leaning?
Well, I don't know where to lean, and what I want to do is speak to the contingent of Schmoeville that hates new people coming into the league. Because
I love new people coming into the league. What the hell? Go ahead.
No, yeah, that's exactly what I want to say. Is that I don't understand why people out there in Schmoeville and outside of Schmoeville and in the YouTube commentville, I don't know why they're so against new people coming in to the league. I think it's great. It's exciting when I don't know about two competitors. I don't know what to expect. And that's fun for me as a viewer and as a fan, because then I get to know two new guys, and then if I'm really what's the word I'm looking for here, taken by one or the other, I can go in and then look at their stuff and then kind of see where they might end up falling in the league and how they could project into the league. So what is the harm in seeing new people? I don't know. I mean, you can't always see the Outlaw play. You can't always see Mark Ellis play. It would just get boring. So I just like seeing these two new people come in. I've heard the hype around both of these guys. So Christian does a great job of hyping these guys up. And you just have to trust Christian because he brings these people in for a reason. And not because, they don't know anything. These people have to know stuff. He has to respect their knowledge and what they do in their field to bring them into the Schmoedown. So I think if you trust in Christian and what he's been doing with the Schmoedown, you should have faith that when he brings new people in, he's going to give you something good.
And going off your point real quick is, we now have a chance to go in and look these two up before the match it happens, and you never know with that Thursday or that Friday of this week, you might have one of them as a guest on Movie Talk to even see him a little bit more, to just try and know a little bit more about them. But you've got the whole week to even look up who these two people are, to see who they are, and that's what a lot of people did that I saw with Jeremy Johns, and for me personally, 6 Degrees. When I heard about them, I looked them up right away to see what they're all about.
Right.
And that gives the movie community of Schmoeville more avenues to go for their movie news than just the one location. And who knows, the way things are going, these two might end up with Collider eventually with the Schmoes, because it seems like they're picking and choosing from the online community on who they want to have work with them. So these two might be eventually working for them too. So it's kind of cool to see them start off here and to see where they go from this point.
A lot of people have compared Christian to, and God, I'm sorry with the wrestling references, but I have to because it makes sense.
I know where you're going with it. Yep.
A lot of people compare Christian to Vince McMahon.
I know that name.
Yes. And it's, to me, I'm sorry, Frank, it's not true. He's not Vince McMahon. No. He's not Vince McMahon. He's Triple H. And I'll tell you why he's Triple H. Because Triple H is a guy that knows the business. Christian knows the business. Triple H is bringing in talented people to better the brand. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what Triple H does. Next time you're thinking he's Vince McMahon, Vince McMahon's old and stuck in his ways, and that's why the current product sucks. But that's a commentary on wrestling, and that's not why we're here. Just want to make that correlation real quick. And you guys are spot on about the new competitors. We have to have new competitors. As much as we like to see John Roque every week, or Mark Ellis, or Mark Riley, or Clark Wolf, I want to see these new people. I want to see Mark Andreyko. I want to see Drew McWeeny. I want to see these people get in the Schmoedown, not because I'm necessarily a big fan of them, but I want to be. Anybody that talks movies, like you brought up, Paul, you brought up 6 Degrees. I also went back and started listening to Film Therapy and some of the other things they were doing, and I really enjoyed their stuff. Added it to my podcasting app that I listen to every day. So the more knowledge, the better. The more broad spectrum, the better. These are all people that are coming from the same sort of space. It's not like you're getting, oh, well, here's Tom Smith from Baseball Tonight. No, it's nothing like that. It's everybody within the same space. So it's not like we're getting somebody completely outlandish. We're getting people that know what they're talking about, that know these movies, and once they get comfortable in this movie trivia Schmoedown sort of formula set, then we'll start to see new big-time players arise. I mean, just look at, as we've talked in this entire episode about Jeff Sneider. He's in the space. He works for the Rap and Mashable and things like that. And here he comes right in, a little bit unknown, and look at him now. He's on the cusp of being in that upper elite tier. And 6 months ago, nobody knew who Jeff Sneider was in the Schmo space, if you will. I mean, I'm sure some people did with Meet the Movie Press, but the majority of people did not. So the more the merrier. If you don't like new competitors, Christian actually sent this to me just now, so here's his comment on it.
Shut up, stupid!
So there you go. So let's move on from that. So we've got one Bibiani. Frank, I didn't hear your prediction one more time. Who did you take?
I guess Andreyko, because it's a cool name.
I was gonna say, are you pushing?
No.
I will also take Mark Andreyko only because my knowledge of seeing him on Screen Junkies movie fights and seeing what he's done there. And yeah, he's a comic book writer. He writes Wonder Woman 77, I think is what it is. So yeah, he's got that comic book knowledge, and I think it's enough to beat William, but will remain to be seen. Should be a great matchup. Before we go, I just kind of want to get some final thoughts on the matches this week and what we have coming up. So Frank, I want to start with you. Anything that I'm missing, anything that I didn't get to that you thought about, anything you want to throw in here?
One thing I thought about, and I have been thinking about this for a little bit, is how in the singles match, how a competitor approaches the second round when they have a lead. I've always thought, and maybe you guys have as well, I don't know, if you have the lead, why would you defer and let your opponent go rack up some points and then you go? I always kind of feel like if I have the lead, if I'm up 6-4 or 5-4, and I have the option of going first or second, I want to go first and add more points on. So maybe to my competitor across from me, he sees a score of now 12-4, and it just seems much larger than it really is. And maybe that plays into my opponent's psyche, and maybe they want to take a chance to catch up, but they're not really thinking down the line that it's just this round that they can bridge the gap. So whenever I see a competitor go first after they have the lead, I think personally it's the right move to go, just because if I'm the opponent, I see, crap, I'm down 15-4. Like, that's kind of demoralizing. But sometimes people aren't thinking down the road, and I think that's where people can get tripped up. So that's what I'm looking for when I see the second round. I just had that little random thought, actually. So that's what I have.
Fair enough. I'm glad I kicked it to you because that makes a really good point. I think it's just all about strategy, personally. I mean, some people have a preference. It's kind of like in like college football or something. If you want to play defense first in overtime or offense, it's just whatever you feel comfortable with. You want to, like when we were talking to Mark Ellis last week, Frank, and he said he kind of likes to take more of a defensive approach as opposed to offensive. I think it's just kind of strategy. So yeah, that may be part of it. I'm not really sure. Paul, did you have anything else? Like any kind of tidbits, anything you wanted to throw in there?
Yeah, I actually kind of do. And it has a lot to do with the behind the scenes. I think you and I talked a little bit about that prior to today. The fact that I would love to know a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So hopefully we do get Christian on here. We might bring up maybe Makuga because he's the game master, and just to see the behind the scenes, who picks the questions, and for example, if who puts the wheel together for that match, and what kind of resources they use for that, and just kind of see a little bit behind the curtain, if you will. I would love to see something along the lines of that, because to me, I'm curious, because again, I'm putting together that game for myself, and I'm going to try that out with a couple of my students online here in the weeks to come, just to see how, where they get their questions. I know that some of the fans can submit some of the questions, and I've actually submitted a couple, in fact, today, just for fun, and I want to see more behind the scenes stuff, because I think that's actually missing. They kind of went away from that. They did a lot of behind the scenes videos in the Collider Studios, and I would love to see how they put a show together, with like I said, with the questions and how they set things up for it. That's just for me, because I'm curious myself. I know a lot of people might be as well. I would like to put that out there to whomever does put it together to maybe come on here and kind of talk a little bit about that. It'd be interesting for me and probably other people in Schmoeville as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good idea. We definitely need to get either Harloff or Makuga on here to talk about the goings-on in the Schmoedown and how it works. There is a good bit of information if you guys haven't checked out the panel from LA Comic-Con. There's a little bit of backstage stuff in there. John Campia actually mentioned, and this was an interesting tidbit that I should have brought up, that he and Mark and Christian have a rules committee or a question committee, and they kind of go over what's going to be what sometimes. So it's kind of almost like the NFL rules committee. They have their own kind of thing there. So that was kind of an interesting tidbit. Just a little bit in that panel, not a whole lot of backstage news, because I think they want to keep a lot of it close to the vest. I don't know if that's an IP issue. I'm not sure. But I would love to talk with Christian or, like you said, Makuga about it. I think that would be great. And, I mean, we don't have to know everything, for God's sake, but just a little peek behind the curtain wouldn't hurt anybody. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Schmoedown Rundown. You can catch us every Saturday on the SK Podcast channel. Find us right there with the Wenger Show, the Schmoeville Podcast. We are right there. Before we leave, though, I like to have everybody sign off. Tell us what you're into. I'm going to start with Frank. Where can you be found online, and what the hell are you doing, man?
You can find me on Twitter at FrankieJ29, posting a bunch of stuff about the Schmoedown, and in the Schmoeville movie trivia Schmoedown Facebook page. I posted my own personal rankings, and I've had a couple discussions with people in there about how they would rank and how I rank. So if you want to go check that out, and we can debate on our own personal rankings until we hear from Christian, that's where you can find me.
All right, good stuff. Paul Wolf, where can people find you online, sir?
You can find me online on Facebook at, obviously, Paul Wolf. That's WULFF. I'm up and down all of the Schmoeville podcasts, all of the Schmoeville online, everything on Facebook, 4 or 5 different groups now. It seems like it has blown up in the last week and a half with how many groups we now have. Twitter, you can find me at the Mr. Wolf. That's WULFF once again. And something that's really kind of cool, I just joined Instagram at the Mr. Wolf 12. And something cool, too, because we've got that fan league now that we're doing. I actually designed myself my own shirt, and you can get it at TeePublic. You just got to look for Mr. Wolf, and there's a shirt that I designed on there. Kind of cool. I don't know. Buy them if you want. Don't buy them. I just thought it was kind of cool one day. Design my own shirt because, you know, we got our own little characters. We got our own little competitors in the Schmoedown. Might as well. I want to do that with us, too, so I would love to see more of us do that too. If we're going to do that for Schmoeville, that'd be kind of cool. And you can get mine. It's kind of neat. I like it.
You can find me, as always, on the twits at ATTitanium. I post in the Schmoeville page. I post in the movie trivia Schmoedown page. You can just find me there. We'll interact. I'll find you the YouTube comments if not. I appreciate everybody for listening, everybody that comments, everybody that takes a second out of their day to listen to us ramble. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it. We like to cater to the Schmoedown fans, so if you are a fan of the Schmoedown or you're trying to get somebody into the Schmoedown, tell them about this podcast. Tell them what's going on. It's kind of like Baseball Tonight, Colin Cowherd Show meets the Schmoedown. That's what it's all about here. And I appreciate everyone's support. So we'll catch you next Saturday. Take it easy.